The project today is a bad tailgate latch. The latch is broken, and it's just a plastic latch. And so this is the second time now, and last time I took it in to have it repaired, and this time I've looked on YouTube and I found some good videos showing how to repair it, and it is a plastic part that I would like to repair with a metal. Here's an example of the latch. Now this is the broken one that I've already pulled out, but I wanted to show you the fact that your latch is broken and you cannot get into your car. Here is what you want to do to be able to get into your car. You're going to use some needle nose pliers, and you're going to pull the broken plastic piece up from underneath. So you're going to be at your car pulling up underneath, and you're trying to grab a plastic piece, and you're going to work around with the plastic piece with your pliers until you can pull it out from under the car, and it's going to look like this. And that plastic piece will go away. You'll remove that. Then you're going to use the next piece that I've suggested, which is I took an Allen wrench, because you need a right angle tool, and just put it in some vice grips and slip that piece up in there, up in the hole that is now underneath your car. You'll come up into this hole with that right angle piece, and your mission is to get up in there with that piece so that you can pull down on the latch that resides behind, which is this piece. You're going to come up through the hole, and with the right angle you're going to latch onto this and pull down with the right angle. That will allow you to get into your car. By using that tool, you can get into your car and lift the tailgate temporarily till you get it fixed. So what we're going to do is do it one more time. Okay, here we go. Tailgate is up, and now we have to take out the whole back paneling that's tracing the lift gate here. So I'll be doing that next, and I'll be back to explain the process. The first piece I'm going to take off is right up at the top. So when I have the tailgate up, it's up at the very top, and I pried between it. Right now it's actually loose. I'm holding it up, but I pried between it and popped it out of these little plastic pop pins there that fit right in there. And I just used a little bit of plastic pry type mechanism bar or something to pop that out of there. So I continued on around from the top into my next piece. I pried that and popped those out. That comes around to the tail section, and it overlaps. There's a little stubborn there, but I just pop that out and pull it off of what it overlaps there. On the tailgate, there's a little latch here. This would normally have a handle on it to pull the tailgate down. Mine is no longer there, but I have to pull this out with a 10mm bolt there. So I'll take that out. Then, with the tailgate up here, I'm going to reach in between these panels, and I'm going to split. There are little clips in there as far as I can tell, and we're going to use a plastic pry piece to pull this apart and get this back panel off. Okay, now popping out this piece is a little tricky, this bottom. So what I did, I used this little, this kind of a wedge thing. It's a carpet tool, just a plastic tool. I got in between my plastic to pry it. Then these little boogers right in here, I don't know if you can see that. Those little boogers were hard to get to come out, so I used an actual pry bar with the little wedge in there to slip in there, get right on there and do a little pry, and it popped them right out of there. And I'm just going to go around the whole back panel and keep popping those things out of there until I get it. Now popped it all the way around. So I did all the little plastic pieces there. I just went all the way around with my plastic tool and then my pry bar, slipping it in right in toward the joint there. So whenever I had a joint, I slipped it right into it, wedged it around there and popped it out. But now up to the front, it's really tricky. Up at front would be the top by the window, where the window is. And I can't really see those, so I think what I'm going to do is be using my hand to push, give it a hard shove, and see if it'll pop it out of there. We'll see how that goes. Just pushing it with my hands, giving it kind of a fist pump or a hand pump, tapping pretty hard from the bottom. It pushed it away, and it now came off of there. So it is now off. I've exposed everything. And here's the piece. The plastic piece is off of there. So when I put it back, it'll just slide into place, down into place, and then I'll pop those little plastic pieces back in place. So I'm going to set that in the car. I'm going to pull it down and start looking at what's next. Okay, with the panel off, this is what it looks like inside. So the plastic panel's off. You can see I need to take this black piece off. And it's got the 10mm bolts around it that'll have to undo. I'll also unplug the different plug joints there, and I'll pull this piece off and see what's next. I've taken all the 10mm bolts out. Now I'm starting to peel back. This little plastic piece was in there, so I pulled and just with my fingers in here and it popped out. So I'm going to look at going around and pulling the remainder. Here's another plastic piece I'll pull and see if that pops easily for me. Hopefully it won't break those pieces. So two more. I may not unplug any of this. I might just let it hang just to save effort. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to pull away here. That worked pretty well. I used my pry bar just a little bit there underneath, just as I was pulling it away, just to pop those plastic pieces. But now I've got it opened up, and that's what the back looks like without that panel. I just let it hang. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just hanging. But anyway, here's where we are. Now, from what I understand from the other helpful YouTube videos that I observed, was that once I've got this back panel open, there's that little plastic pin down there, and then up here's the lock with the 10mm nut, which I'm going to loosen undo that. Then that little plastic pin there. Now I go over to the other side, and down right there is the other. That's a second plastic pin, and then another one right, let's see, where is it? See if I can see it. Right there. Okay, I came up with a real nice, I figured it out. I'm ready to push these through. Now what happens is, these little pins, you just get some needle nose pliers, and you just squeeze them, and you just push, and you push them out through the hole. And that way you can reuse them. Just squeeze and push, and it pushes on out of there. Okay, I had talked about the different pins and points to release. I think there was the 10mm nut to undo. I've taken that off. There's a little hole right back in here. You can see the light outside. That's where the lock is. I undid the nut and the lock kind of is hanging. And I've undone the little pins here so you can push that out. The little the piece that surrounds the license plate on the outside of the car. However, I learned that there are some other pieces up here, right up in here. There are two nuts, and those actually hold on. Where's the other one? Over here. And there's the other one, back in here. Those actually hold on the handle, the lever that I bought to replace, and that's keeping me from getting the outer license plate surrounding plastic piece off to get this job done. So what I did, I went online and I learned another piece of the puzzle. I had to lower my window on the car about an inch. Now it's a lot bigger, but I had to lower that about an inch so that I could then undo the bolts that hold the this whole mechanism that raises and lowers the window. So as you see, I've undone the 4 bolts on here. There's 4 of them that held the that piece in place. By lowering the window 1 inch, I was able to take my hand on this piece. I had to lift a little, took a little bit of work to figure this out and lift it. It raised the window a little, but then I was able to push the whole mechanism out of the brackets here, and I carefully lowered it. So now my window is much lower, and but that allowed me to get behind this piece to the back here to these nuts, which I should be able to undo now, get the whole piece off, replace the lever, and if I'm real lucky, my window and the motor are still going to work. We'll give it a try here. Okay, here's another little trick I want to point out. There was this little rubber button in here, and my wrench, the angle, I couldn't get the angle right for that nut that's back in here. I realized this little rubber button comes out, and that must be the whole purpose of that, because now I can take my socket wrench right through there and get to the nut there that holds on the actual handle, and I can loosen that. So there is another rubber button, actually 2 of them over here, to get to the other side, this other one that's back in here. So I'll remove that button in a moment and loosen that nut, and I think I should be in good shape. Okay, that by getting those nuts off, I've released this on the outside. This is the license plate piece on the outside. I'm leaving the cable that goes to the license plate lights plugged in. It's just easier. Now I'm looking at my this is my handle that I'm going to be replacing. It looks like there's 2 let's see, 2 Phillips screws holding this in place. So I'm going to use a screwdriver and undo those screws and see if the handle comes out. And then I have my replacement handle right here that we'll see if that fits in place, and we'll see how it goes. System. So I'll pull this out. Now I put the cable in place. There's the cable right there. And now I've got the little ball end of it hooked into the new latch. I'm going to push in here with some needle nose because it's not fitting right in there, and then I'll put on the plastic piece. Okay, now the plastic piece is in place. It fits over the handle. There's little grooves in there that fit on a piece of the handle. You'll just have to work with it and observe the grooves, but they go around the cable. You can see that in the way it fits in there, and it just slips over there. It fits tight, just in the grooves, and you just push it on with your fingers. Next, we're going to put the this whole mechanism for the power window. We're going to put that back in place in these 4 slots up here. We're going to put that back in place, so it's going to raise the window into the proper location, and then we'll look at sealing it up. The panel is now in place. Got that all put back in place. Got the little rubber stoppers put back in place. Everything's bolted, connected. Now for the internal pieces of the car. Then I've actually already tried the latch to make sure it worked before I closed it all up, and it was working perfectly, so I felt good about that. I checked my rear window with the power, and it went up and down, thank goodness. So the motor is working fine. Now I'm going to put in the internal trim pieces, and we'll close it all up, see how it looks, make sure it all works again, and we'll be done.